Oh, boy. What's up, people? Party. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this show by myself tonight. One part of me, I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want to be here. I know you guys are tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing it myself. I'm here because of you. So, whoever shows up, just know your man is here. It's another Thursday night. We're in the middle of this hailstorm. Yes, we call it the 2020 election. And like the year 2020, it ain't nothing nice. That's what we say in New Orleans. It ain't nothing nice. It's definitely unprecedented. So we have nothing to compare it to that I know of from a historical perspective. So it is what it is, people. But anyway, oh, man, I just saw. I know you guys are probably not watching it. I know you probably worn out. I'm worn out. Boy, this is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I see a couple people trickling through on Facebook, and I see a couple people coming up on YouTube as well. So if you guys got me in both places, do me a favor, see if you could pull up YouTube as well. I got a couple. I got some feedback saying that people were having a problem finding me on YouTube. Um, I don't know. So try to pull me up on YouTube, see if you have any problems. What's funny is I've been watching this stuff on mostly CNN, but CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, I've just been going from place to place to place. Associated Press gave one of the states, I think they gave Nevada to Biden a long time ago. So they have him higher in the electoral count than most other people do. But I don't know, folks. For those who are not watching this, I'll just tell you this. Um, Despicable Donnie just went off. He held a news conference, I guess you would call it that, because Biden held a news conference earlier. But let's just go ahead and say when somebody come into the house, I just say, good evening, how you doing? How your mama and them? I want to welcome you guys to the show. As always, I know you're tired of this bullshit. Lord knows I am, man. I used to be a political junkie, but this is the easiest way to kick the habit, man. I'm telling you. This has just been bananas. It's really been crazy. So, um, I'm watching a little of this on TV as we're talking, so I'm not preoccupied. I just wanted to see if anything fascinating came up. I know you guys are probably tired of watching it, but I kind of let you know the particulars. Good evening. Welcome to the show. As always, I know you guys are tired of it. Like I said, I'm tired of it too. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity because some of you, this is the last time you're going to see me. This is what I look like at 60. So in about 5 days, November the 10th, your man will be kicking that 61 up the behind. So y'all can go ahead and tell me happy birthday. I take my birthday present in small unmarked bills, you know what I mean? If you send me something, make sure you put the receipt in the box so that if it's the wrong size, I could take it back and get the size that fit. All right? All right. But anyway, yo, I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to make this quick. So if you're not here on time tonight, some folks are going to miss the show. There's so many subplots that are playing out right now. So tonight I'm going to give you my predictions. My analyses. I want to talk about three things tonight. I want to talk about black voting power. I call it black vote or black folk voting power. I want to talk about the Latinos, specifically those in Florida, because they seem to be behaving differently than some of the other Latinos around the country in bigger numbers. So I call it when the lie becomes the narrative, they believe the lie. And the last thing I'm probably going to talk about is Joe Biden's appeal. My subscript to that is I told you so. Tonight's show is called 5 Days. Last week was 5 days in this last call. So tonight I say it's 5 days because it looked like we're not going to get the answers. What's funny is I told a few people that I know that we would not have the answers until Friday. So much about my predictions. This was the one time I was hoping that I was wrong. So last week was 5 days in last call. You know, the other line of that is, I don't know where you're going, but you got to get the hell out of here. So tonight's show is called 5 Days. You got to get the hell out of here. I got something to say. It must be true. Let's do it. Let's talk about the Latino voters first. Here in Florida, Despicable Donnie's strategy was to attack the Latino vote in southern Florida, mostly in the Miami and Miami-Dade County area, but because it's the most densely populated area or county in Florida, in the state of Florida. By doing that, to attack that vote, what Donnie did is, and you've seen the commercials as well, and you knew he was lying, so you probably just dismissed it. But he called Biden a socialist. To Cubans and Venezuelans, and those are a lot of the Latinos that live in South Florida and the Miami-Dade area, to those two ethnic groups, it brings back memories of dictators in places like Cuba and Venezuela. Some of you may not be old enough to remember the stronghold that Castro had on Cuba, but in the news, you can't avoid hearing about some of the, I call it some of the almost civil uprising and coming of age. It's almost like having their own little civil war from these dictators and these despots, and this one overthrowing the government and so forth and otherwise. But a lot of these people, these Latinos, for obvious reasons, these lies resonated with them. You and I knew that they were obviously lies. But because of that, because they are so sensitive to that, it was the one thing that tilted Florida to Trump. Because for a while it was looking, even with the mail-in votes, and I don't dispute the fact that we have a Latino governor here, Rick DeSantis, and we got Mario Rubio and some of these others that are staunch Republicans. So they like being in the power. So they're going to do what I call Donnie's bidding, Despicable Donnie's bidding. It was easy to sell this lie because all they did was transpose it to Spanish in El Español. It brought up some of those, we call it PTSD. We knew they were lying, but to Cubans and Venezuelans who fled their native land, some of them during the dead of night, to escape being kidnapped and killed, I get it. It's the same fear that we have. They tell their children some of the same things that we tell our children, our sons, when it comes to Black Lives Matter. So it's the same fear. It's the same, what I call PTSD. But that's a perfect segue into my next statement. And this one is for all of those people who say, my vote don't count. I posted something on my page a couple of days ago. I said you can't fix stupid. If stupid was a disease, some people would never get sick. When I hear, now I'm going to talk to my people. Now, I'm a Black man. I use the color black versus African American because I've got so many things in my racial makeup that, black is all of you put all of the colors of the rainbow together, you get the color black. So black is a black, blue, red, yellow, green, orange, purple, brown. I've got so much being Creole, and I've even got German Jew, and I got a Native American and Blackfoot and Choctaw and a partridge in a pear tree. So my my heritage looks like Baskin Robbins. It has 31 flavors. So I can say things, but I'm speaking specifically because I identify as a black man. When I hear a black man say his vote doesn't count, it pisses me off to the utmost of pissosity, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because black men are charismatic. We have natural leadership ability. I, we have all of these things going on. We're strong, we're resilient, we're creative, we're intelligent, and let's force it. At 6 feet tall, 270 pounds, we are forced to be reckoned with. It's not just me. And it's not about statue, it's about frame of mind. We have a tendency to walk in a room and take over that room. So I'm speaking on that. But let me digress for just a minute. I know anytime me or anybody else start talking specifically about black and black things and things specifically or focus on issues that are primarily to us, and it's necessary because I can't look to the Donald Trumps and nobody else, certainly not the Lil Waynes and the Morgan Freemans. We have a certain thing. We call it crabs in the basket. And I'm gonna just put it out there. We are cool as long as you don't see too many aspiring to be more than what we are. Then we use terms like talking and acting like a white boy or thinking you're better than anybody else. And I heard a lot of that. And I try to teach young brothers to reduce them from going back to jail, what's called recidivism, to reduce that number. What I try to teach them is when you're on a street corner, school is for fools. But as soon as your young punk ass get picked up, the first thing you do after you lose your booty hole in jail, you want to go and get your GED. Then you want to go to college and all of this. Why not circumvent the so-called criminal just us system and do it while you're out there? Why not recognize the fact that you're strong, you're resilient, you're creative, you're intelligent, you're good with your hand, you're good with your mind, you're a force to be reckoned with. Why not focus on that on the front end? But when we talk about those things, it's like Black Lives Matter. Some people blood starts to boil and they say all lives matter. Why are you always talking about black, black, black? Maybe you're racist. No, 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 no. Let me tell you the biggest difference between black pride and white pride. Black pride, I don't have to hate you to love myself. As soon as you see a white supremacist, he's talking about white pride. And what he's talking about is everybody else does not matter. Just him. Just him. The white man is losing this. The white man, that's the biggest difference in black pride and white pride. But it's up to me as an elder, as a man who will be 61, there's another shameless plug. On Tuesday of next week, November the 10th, is my birthday. Like I say, I'll take my birthday presents in small unmarked bills. You understand? You send me something, make sure you include the receipt. I don't care how much you pay for it, just to make sure I get the right size. Right. But seriously, people, when we talk about black pride, it does not equate to white hate. Why we talk about black pride is to negate or suppress the self-hate of some black folks. And I think that's the problem with the Lil Waynes and the 50 Cents and these folks who are so quick to want to be on the other side of the fence. I claim what I am. I see myself as a black man because that's the way I was raised. I see myself as a black man because I'm proud to claim that. But as corny as it sounds, I'll never have to use this thing. Some of my friends are white, some of my friends are Puerto Rican, some of my friends are Italian. Hey, I grew up in several areas of New Orleans. I grew up in my younger years, we lived in the Irish Channel. If you're from New Orleans, you know, once upon a time, the Irish Channel was where all of these people that were not white Anglo-Saxon live. The whites were white. The Italians were Dago Guinea Wops. The Irish were drunken mix. The Jews were kites, and the blacks were niggers. So we were all outcasts. And as a result, an enemy of my enemy becomes my friend. The enemy of my enemy, if this man is hating all of us, it makes us pull together. And it stayed like that for a long time until 1968 when King got assassinated. Then all of these, we start talking about black power, and all of these racial groups start going to their own tribes, and it split up the city. And then other groups start interweaving themselves into the society. So I'm sorry about the history lesson, but it is what it is. So when I talk about this, it's not to put anybody else down. It's to lift those that look like me, who may not have the same pride in self, who were not raised the way I was raised. It's to help them lift themselves up. Okay, let me move on. Your voice counts. I'm speaking primarily to black folks. Let me go on record. If you don't believe your vote counts, look at the election. Look at TV for the last 3 days. When Biden, I told you guys, when Biden was a non-entity, we talking about way back during the caucuses in Iowa. And Iowa is supposed to be the proving ground. You understand? It was like Biden was a no-show. First, he was the man to beat. Then he shows up in Iowa, and Buttigieg and all these other, and Bernie, and all of these other people start showing up and showing out. And Biden was nowhere. He was down here. And I told you guys, I say, caucuses are not a true reflection of the voting populace or the demographics of America. So it means nothing. But as soon as Biden showed up in South Carolina, because that was the first state where everybody voted, black folks showed up and showed out, and they put Joe on the map. So if you are anybody, in the 2016 elections, what we found out is how a protected group called the white female, how powerful they are. I said it before. Some of them didn't show up to the polls. Why? Because they did not like Hillary. Some of them, it's not that they were voting for Trump, they were voting against Hillary. So they put Trump in the White House because black folks, like it or not, we true to the Democratic Party for mostly. They vote up. They voted. Not all of them. They didn't show up with the same numbers that they showed up for Obama, and it certainly didn't show up the same numbers that they showed up for Joe this year, 2020. But a lot of the white females decided to vote against Hillary. A lot of them decided if it was Trump and Hillary, then I won't vote. I'm going to stay home. So everybody vote counts. When they start counting these votes here, there, and everywhere, they don't say, okay, this was a black one, put this one here. This is a white female, put that one there. This one makes over $200,000, put that. No. One man, one vote. Black folks put Joe on the map in South Carolina. It was the black vote that gave Biden in Detroit, gave Biden Michigan. It's the black vote in Arizona and the Latino vote, because those Latinos are not Cuban. A lot of those Latinos are Mexican. So those are the folks that Trump was trying to send back home. But you know what? Arizona was once dominated by Mexicans. This was their second home. So, okay. But these black folks, they gave Joe Michigan. They are giving Joe in these populated areas, like it's always the urban areas that are most densely populated by people of color. The good thing that's happening when we see gentrification in Harlem, in Chicago, on the South Side, and on the West Side, in Los Angeles, and what was once South Central, in San Francisco, what was once the Mission District, in DC, which was once Southeast, in all of these drug-infested neighborhoods that they allow drugs to flourish. And then they bring in folks, and they call them white pioneers. And they start driving these people of colors into the suburbs. Well, you know what's happening now? The suburbs are not so red anymore. The suburbs are turning more and more blue. But there's still some people who make it, just like myself, who come from humble beginnings and still like living in the city. This is the first time, other than being in the Marine Corps, where I chose to live in a small city, a small town. The Marine Corps, I had no choice in the matter. And maybe it was preparing me for this. But let me get back. It's the black vote. And it's the black vote that's probably going to give Joe Pennsylvania and Georgia and ultimately the White House. So if you're black and you're sitting out on the corner with your boys, if you're smoking a joint, a doobie, or whatever y'all call it today, if you're drinking whatever y'all drinking a day, back in my day, you know, it was, what's the word? Thunderbird, sip, sip, pass. So whatever you boys are doing, and one of your boys said, man, yo, fuck that voting shit. Your vote don't count, man. Look at him and say, right on. But you take your ass to the poll and you vote, because your vote count. And you know what? You're not always going to be on that corner, because as we just said, if you're behind, get caught up in the system for justice, you're going to get that GED. Then you're going to want to come out and take care of your children. And then you're going to realize that your vote counts. It's crazy that it takes a felon losing his right to vote to realize how precious that vote is. Let me get off of this, because you can see I'll go off on a tangent. Earlier, I saw Joe come to TV, and it's the most presidential. And when we say presidential, we mean standing in front of camera, and there's a certain decorum. There's a certain way that you act. I sit in front of this mic and I have no sponsors. I have no censors. So I can say what the hell I want. If I want to say, yo, blase, blase, I can say that. If I decide to say, well, you know what? If I were you, I'm sure that we could communicate on a higher level. You understand? I can talk however I choose to talk. I can say whatever I choose to say. I can offer my analysis. I can offer my predictions as I see forward, simply because I choose to. I have no one to respond to. But we know when a president stands in front of a microphone, whether it's John F. Kennedy saying, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, or whether it's a Barack Obama who says, yes, we can. Joe stood in front of the mic today, and they talk about him, getting old and this, that, and the other, but he was on it. He says, I just came out of a briefing on the coronavirus. Yesterday, we had over 100,000 new cases. So this is something that, like I told you, I'm going to address. We had over 1,000 people die. That's ridiculous. So my heart goes out to every family who's lost someone to the coronavirus. So this is what Joe was talking about, and he carried himself in a presidential manner. So he really started looking like the man I told you he was. But he has a debt to pay. He has a debt to pay to us. When we started to talk about this, and here's where I need to pat myself on the back. I've been screaming since January 21st, 2017, that Joe Biden was the one person who could dethrone Despicable Donnie. Me, I've been saying this. Other people say, I don't know, he's old, he's over the hill, and this, that. I say it. You heard me preach for the last 10 months right here in front of this microphone that he had the mass appeal that could unite the Democrats, the independents, and those Republicans who was tired of Despicable Donnie's shenanigans. I said that he could pull those people together, and look how it's happening. Even with this, and I promise tonight I'm not going to beat up anybody in the Democratic Party, but I think this was a poorly run. Let me just go off on a little digression. This was a poorly run campaign because it should have been a walk in the park. It should have been them bombarding the consciousness with all of the things that this man has done for the last 4 years. That's despicable. All of the things that this man has done for the last 4 years that makes this man delusional, and these delusions of grandeur and his need for attention, and all of the divisive, hateful ways that he's incited riots and added to the separation here in the country. That's what this should have been about. But they allowed him to lie time after time and time again without changing the narrative. They allowed them to put people on the Supreme Court without educating the public, the American public, that they were the ones, in fact, who were stacking the Supreme Court, not the Dems. If Joe decides to go in and try to bring balance to the Supreme Court, it makes perfect sense. But that was not communicated. And it wasn't for Joe to do. It's something that I looked for now. I said I wasn't going to do that, right? Okay, all right. I promise. Okay, all right. I'm back. All right, I'm back. 10 months, I've been telling you that this was going to happen. For the last 4 weeks, I've been telling you, don't listen to the polls. That polls don't mean anything. Polls are designed by people with a specific agenda, and they make sure that that agenda reflects what they wanted to say. So I told you, don't listen to that nonsense. A lot of you said to me, yeah, right. I guess you know more than CNN. Difference is I don't subscribe to the bullshit polls, and I can say whatever I want to say, and it's based on my own research. So I look at things from a peer empirical perspective. I pull different things from different sources from different avenues so that I can see, put my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the Latino community and in Tampa and in St. Pete and in Orlando and in Atlanta and in Columbia, South Carolina. A lot of these places I lived. You understand? That's the difference. That's the thing. Because I've lived and I talk to people and people talk to me. Two things happened I tried to educate everybody on. I felt like the biggest mistake was the Dems were urging everybody to vote by mail. And I said it gave the Republicans too many opportunities to cheat. And some of you out there told me, yo, mama, yo, my brother, calm down. God is in control. And to that, I'll bite the bullet. I was wrong. I said, it's not that God is not in control. It's that God gave man the power of choice. And man decides to do what man is going to do. Man decides whether he's going to go left or right. Man decides whether he's going to kill his brother or covet his brother's wife. So it's not that I don't believe in my spirituality. It's just that you can't believe in God and not believe in the devil. The other thing, first thing was, I knew voting by mail would have its drawbacks, first and foremost. Second thing is, I knew that the Republicans decided to discard the Dem votes by trying to negate said vote and not counting them. And that's what we're seeing now in places like Georgia, especially Pennsylvania. Because if Joe takes Pennsylvania, game over. Turn out the lights, stick a fork in them, they're done. The fat lady is singing, Figaro, Figaro. Fat man, okay. Their strategy, the Republican strategy, was to make sure that their votes were counted by making sure that all the Republicans showed up on election day and voted in person. So we showed up early and we showed up through the mail-in vote. That's why you see those huge swings. So it tells me, here's the funny thing. We talk about Joe and his deficit, so to speak, and I think it's his biggest strength. In a lot of cultures, and to my young cousins, brothers, and what have you, I know you're ready to take over, but align yourself with the coattail of an elder that you look up to, that you can trust, and learn from them, so that when it's your turn, when you're called on to do what you need to do, you can lead not only with wisdom, but you can lead with heart and morality. And that's what's missing. Conversely, 15 minutes before I came on, Trump came to the mic. And he never really looked presidential, but he looked even worse tonight. His ego was deflated. He did not look well. He did not sound well. He sounded defeated, but it sounded worse than that. You know, I'm a historian. You know, I'm a history buff. You know, I'm a student of history. But it reminded me in the last days, when Hitler saw the Third Reich starting to crumble, he locked himself up in his bunker. he drank excessively and he eventually committed suicide. So I'm not saying that Despicable Donnie needs to be on suicide watch, but somebody need to watch his ass. Because he's crazy for trying to defend these bias, not always racist, but certainly always biased policies of the Republican Party. I watched him night after night. I watched him be rude to Van Jones, and at times I saw Van get flustered. And when Van gets flustered, he has this speech impediment. And I know he wants to say some things. And being the black man, see, we don't have many black men that sit up there as a talking head or political pundit. Give me the job. If I keep it for 2 years, I promise. I do. I need a little shot attached to my ass. So when I get back, y'all see that look on my face. Somebody just give me a little shock and say, "Don't do it, bro. Don't say it. We need you to be there. We need your voice to represent." But I saw Van getting flustered because Rick knew, like so many Republicans, they come off as bullies. They don't allow other people to make a point. One reporter said tonight, what they do is they beat you down till you just say, hey, forget it. Okay, just have your say, have your way. And I saw Rick Sanitarium do a pivot from defending Trump to talking about how wrong Trump was for getting up there and basically lying and negating and calling suspicion to the whole system, especially in the state of Pennsylvania, because I guess he's from there, supposedly. But what it reminded me of is, okay, now that Trump is starting to fade to the background, here's a chance for Rick to try to make a name for himself. So mark my words, 2024, Rick Sanitarium is going to be one of the Republicans vying for the White House. But I don't know what I'm talking about, do I? Folks, this has been crazy. I promised you I was going to get you in and get you out. I'm going to cut it short there. I'm not going to go off on a tangent. There's so much more I could say. Let me just go out with this. One more shameless plug. 5 days from now, your man will be kicking 6-1 in the behind. So it feels good to look good. It feels good to have some sanity left. It feels good to have my children doing what they're supposed to do. So shout out to all of you guys for being with me. Want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Want to thank you for continuing to show me love, especially tonight, because I know you're so sick and tired of all of this sick and tired of all of this sick and tired that we've called 2020, and for it to be eclipsed by this election that's dragging on and on. So for that, a special, special love and peace. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to remind you, it's called what? Last call. 5 days. I don't know where you're going, but you got to get the hell out of here. We got this, folks. The only thing that can turn this against us is if they get this into a court of law. And some of these judges that he appointed decide to come to bat for him. But it seems like the Republican Party is trying to take itself back from Trump. He hijacked a Republican Party, and now they want it back. So I think we got this one, folks. Be patient. Hang in there. See you next week. Same Baptiste time. St. Baptiste Place. Go to my YouTube. And I need more of y'all setting up. I see we got some folks there. Man, look, I love you guys. Keep on doing what you're doing. Sign up for this YouTube, this Facebook. I don't know how long it's going to be there. I'm going to say this, and then I'm gone. It made me feel good to watch CNN with all of their resources have a live broadcast with all of these glitches. So when you see a glitch, remember, I don't have control. I'm just trying to be here for you because you're being here for me. See you next week. St. Baptiste time, St. Baptiste place. As always important. Love, peace. Go to my YouTube and what? Subscribe and do what? Hit the bell. Why? Because I got something to say. It must be true. See you next week. I'm out of here, people. Next time I talk to y'all, I'll be 61. Yes, I will. Yes, I will.